Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. This is your host, Idjester. This is part two of our look at Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa. If you watched the previous episode, we are playing the Germans. We are in the pre-start turn where we are making some very, very important decisions. These decisions are going to outline and basically give us some goals and give us some background information on how we should proceed in this game. So a lot of players, including myself, that come and look at such a game as this and see all of these counters, see all of these numbers, and really looks overwhelming. But what I'm doing in these video tutorials is basically just giving you an overview of the game mechanics and basically giving you the behind the scenes operations of the game so that you can understand that. And once you understand the game concepts and the designs, the game is actually very, very easy to pick up and play. And a lot of the stuff that I'm even covering, you can just gloss over if you're not really interested in that. So last time we were looking at some decisions. We're looking at really what makes Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa feel and play differently than a lot of other counter war games out there. And of course, one of the things we're looking at is the fact that there is this whole other layer of interaction between yourself and your other generals and of course the Führer. We are of course Field Marshal Franz Halder, the whole operational commander for Barbarossa. We've already gone and spoken to Hitler ourselves, and we have decided to support him in whatever his endeavor was. So for this case, his endeavor is to go over and capture, way up here to the north, Leningrad. And that is his number one objective. Number two objective, I believe, is to get the headquarters. Third objective was Rostov, and the fourth objective was Moscow. But we'll look at those again in a little bit. So let's continue and analyzing what our different options are. Not only are we going to have relationships with the Führer and other generals, we also have to hopefully get their support to make this operation a great success. So let's continue looking at some things that we can look at. So the next option is we're going to select a route for Army Group North. Now this, of course, Army Group North is one thing we haven't actually talked about. If I zoom out on the map a little bit, you can see a little better. There are these red lines that kind of separate the different fronts. So we have a north front, we have a central, and we have a southern front. Units can cross over between the different fronts, but of course they take a penalty if they do that. So like these units right here are considered in the central front, but if they come around down to the bottom and to try to flank and stuff, they're going to take a little bit of a penalty. But you don't want to be moving a whole bunch of these units into the southern front because they're not going to be operational good quality at that point. So there is three different defined sectors. Our sector, of course, our most important sector is going to be the north sector here, because we have to get to Leningrad. And of course, probably our second priority would be our south, because our third objective is to get Rostov. And then our last objective is to get Moscow. So Army Group Center is really not of ultra importance to us right now. If we fail in the Führer's eyes, if we won't get Leningrad and we don't capture and destroy the headquarters, anything else beyond that is going to be a bonus for us. So let's take a look at Army Group North. So we're going to be making a very important decision. Now, of course, this could not be a very important decision, because if the Führer said, maybe his number one objective was to get Rostov, then of course our main fighting force would be our southern flank instead of our northern flank. But in this case, we do have to worry about it, so we're going to make a decision. And again, I could just basically say, you know what, I don't care about these objectives. I don't care about what decisions I want to make. I just want to play the game. And all I have to do is click end my turn. And all of these objectives would just simply have the computer randomly assigned based on your subordinates' feelings and relationships, and they would pick some for you, and you can get right in the game. But again, part of the part of understanding Decisive Campaigns at Barbarossa is understanding this extra layer of complexity and understanding how things are intertwined between yourself as Field Marshal Franz Haller, the operational commander, and how his relationship with other commanders out there is happening. Alright, so Army Group North, let's take a look at it. So we have some decisions to make. So we can convert the alright, so it looks like we're going to be talking about the railroads here. So let's talk about these first before I actually get to this objective. You notice how in over here in our territory, the German railroads are black, and if we come over here, the Soviets, the Russians, are red, and that is basically to show you guys that there is different. They had a different gauge for the railroads, how wide they were, how fast, how they were designed and everything. And so the two don't actually work together. There are completely different mechanic to have your trains go down, say, from Kaunas over to Königsberg, and a different train you would have to take from Kaunas to Vilnius or Vilna, because this train would not be able to operate that way. So one of our most important objectives here is going to be deciding exactly where our railroad line should go. So we can convert the Campus Riga Narva line. We can convert the Karnis Dannenberg Luga. So let's look at those two differences there, or we can do nothing. Of course, it costs us 2 political points. Because we supported Hitler, we got some extra political points there. So we got Canis Riga Narva and the Canis Dannenberg Luga. So let's see if we can figure out where these different ones go. We'll just zoom out a little bit. So we have Canis here, and then we have let's see if we can figure out where the other ones are going. Let's just bring that up. Hopefully, we just... I clicked the wrong button. Sorry about that. Canis, Riga, Navarre. Alright, so Riga and Navarre. Let's find those. So we can convert this one here and up to Riga and then up to Navarre, which happens to be back over here. So one of our objectives says, let's convert all, once we take this territory, let's convert all of this railroad track up to here in German railways, so we can get our supplies to go and flow freely down the path, down this railway. Or the other option was to Canis Dannenberg Luga. Alright, so let's take a look at this one. So we're going to start at Canis. I'm just trying to find it here. So, where is Luga? Okay. So we're going to start at Canis here, and here is Luga up here. So basically, we're going to convert all of this railway here from Canis over and then up this way. So we have to really look at our situation here in the north. We're either going to be taking our units and kind of hugging along the coast here and try to get up to Leningrad, or are we going to be coming down this way and then cutting up across this way? Because our supply train needs to follow us wherever we go. If we get outside our supply train, we're going to be in bad news. So we have to make a very important decision which one of these railways we should start converting. Either this kind of up and over railway, or the northern railway that we're going to kind of hug along the coast there. Of course, each one of these has their own advantages and disadvantages. In this case, I'm actually going to go with the Luga route. I think having more of a central railway gives us a better bonus than trying to hug along the road because of a supply radius. It's better to have our headquarters here. We can have units over on the left and the right. If we kind of hug along the top there, we won't have, obviously the radius around it is going to be covered in water. So I think having the Luga Railroad is going to be better, but of course it's going to be a tougher fight for us to get through there because there's a lot more towns, and it's a lot more better defensive positions for the Germans or for the Russians to sit in. So it's going to be a tougher go for us, but it might be operationally better for us. So let's go ahead and make that decision. And we're going to use the Lugarine, and we're going to go ahead and just side that. It costs us 2 political points. Preparations are underway. The line to Dannenberg will be converted as soon as possible. Some cooperation from Army Group Center is necessary. Of course it is. And of course that makes the general in the center a little bit happier because he's now going to have some of the railway converted for him. And let's take a look at that. So we actually, obviously we're going to have to come down this way and convert some of the Army Group Center railway here, which makes it pretty interesting. And of course, we got a little bit of favor from the commander here in the center. Let's see what else we have. Select the route for Army Group Center. So we're going to basically do the same thing, I believe, with the Army Group Center. Yep. Convert to 9. Okay. So it's oh, nope. Didn't mean to click that. Let's go back. So our decisions here. Again, we're going to just remove the units from the map. We can convert this line here up from Brest-Litovsk up to Minsk. And then from Minsk it goes to Brest, Minsk to Slominsk. Alright, so yep. So yeah, we're going to be converting this railway right here. Our second choice, of course, that's kind of a right down the middle one, and of course it's going to be probably the most dangerous because it's the direct line towards Moscow. Our second choice, of course, is to do the Bolavosk-Vilnius line. Okay, well, let's take a look at those. So that's going to be here and up to here. So we're going to convert this stuff here, or are we going to convert the major railway down the middle of the line there? So again, it kind of depends on where your units are going to be positioned. If we convert this one here, you notice most of our units are going to have to stay. Let's put the units. Put the units back on the map here. Sorry, because this one here, we have a pretty good sized gap over to the north front. You can see that huge territory over there, and just a little bit down on the bottom. So we're mostly on the southern flank. Our forces are going to have to push up kind of in this direction, which leaves a big gap between our central forces and our northern forces. And I'm not really a big fan of that. So, because our number one objective is Leningrad, we're actually going to be converting. We're going to convert the Bolavosk-Vilnius line. It's going to cost us 6 political points. Alright, there we go. Good job. Of course, the General Gherkin is pleased with us and gets some more relationship, and now he's feeling a little bit better about us. Good for him. He's feeling a little bit better about us. Alright, so let's see our next decision. Battalions under manned are Eisenbahntruppen Construction Battalion is undermanned and undersupplied. This will have inevitable consequences in the suboptimal rail conversion rate across the 3 theaters. So we can probably equip them, which is going to cost us 12 power points. Help out whenever we can, so give them a little bit of a boost, 4 power points. And of course, do nothing, make them do it. We're going to go ahead and give them a full range, full supply range. Okay. So of course, more people are pleased with us. And of course, von Bridgeton is upset. So now we've made him very upset with him. And adjustment to construction battalion's effort plus 19, previously 0. So we're going to get a nice bonus to our construction battalion's effort in converting all of these railways. Alright, workshop. Let's see, facilities. Let's take a look at these. Okay. As it stands, Barbarossa will be commencing with 1/5 of the Grossen Truppen trucks columns out of service. There's still enough time for these trucks to be repaired, provided the workshop facilities in the zones are upgraded. Yeah, so these trucks aren't a fighting force, but they are the backbone of the army. Of course, they're going to be the ones shipping all of the supplies up to our fine troops on the front lines. So we are going to take... you're going to definitely give these guys a big boost here. 75% chance of a good outcome. We're going to give them improved workshop facilities, get more of these trucks so we can get more supplies to the front. Now remember, we started off, we had 16 total power points. 16 total. The only reason we have so many is because we had supported Hitler's decision. If we chose one of the other options, we're not going to have all these political points to spend on all of these different options. So you're going to have to really think about the pros and cons of all of the decisions you make. Because we supported Hitler, though, Hitler has big, he's got everything to gain with us and everything to lose with us. So if we're not doing the right job, expect a call to go back to Berlin and face the firing squads, because he's put all of his faith and trust in us. He's giving us extra supplies. He's giving us extra everything. And we have to delegate this and make him happy, or else we won't be lasting very long. So we're going to spend our 12 power points here. Our efforts have been successful, and the Z1 workshop facilities will be upgraded. We rolled a 51, so less than 75. Our relationship, General Wagner is pleased, so we've got him up to neutral, and Holdel is upset with us. Why is he upset with us? Does it tell us why he is upset? Not yet, but we'll get to that. Adjustment in truck maintenance, less 16%. Excellent. So we have 16 less percent maintenance on our trucks. All right. So we've been talking a lot about our relationship with Hitler, our relationship with other generals, the other fronts. This isn't just a game of just pushing counters around the screen. There's a lot extra going on, and of course you can either embrace that or you can just ignore it. It's your preference. I'm just giving you kind of the background information so you can make a decision. But there are other decisions we have to take into consideration that don't even affect us, but affect other countries as well. So let's take a look at Romania. What? Romania? So those forces down here in the south that are colored in green are Romanian. Oops, let's give us a full look at our units here. So you can see these are Romanian infantry. Of course, they're using German AT guns and artillery because, of course, they would use the best, right? So, obviously, our relationship with Romania, it could be ultra important if Rostov here was our #1 objective. For us, it's #3 objective, and it's not quite high on the list. So let's that might be determine how we spend our power points on this decision. So fortunately, all of them cost 0 power points, but it's just our philosophy with them. So we can either So we can either have them be a trusted ally, we can have them you are free to ignore them and they will have no penalty by selecting what if option. You're gambling a certain amount of victory points against an average gain or loss. Any victory point gain or loss is effectively doubled as your opponent will gain or lose an equivalent number of victory points. Oops. So we can call them a trusted ally. We're going to get -3 victory points. And the Romanian front will activate 1 turn earlier. We can keep them at arm's length. We can do our attack, and then the Romanians will then attack after us. Of course, they will turn 1 turn later, but we're going to actually gain 3 victory points because of the delay, or we can just leave everything as is. So we can get a slight boost to our victory points, but they activate later. We can activate them sooner, but we lose victory points because historically they didn't operate with all the efficiency of the German army. Or we can just leave everything status quo. And you know what? I'm going to leave it status quo for now. I'm going to choose that option for us, and because I think that our southern front is really not ultra important. I don't really want to lose victory points or gain victory points. I'll just leave it as is and see how it goes. Nothing has changed. We incurred no penalties. Alright, but on the other end of the spectrum is Finland, which is way up here. Keep going, there we are. And Finland, of course, is in the blue here. So historically, Finland and Germany, Finland and Russia, Finland basically defended their boundaries and gave the Russians a pretty good fight for as small a country as they were. But they would refuse for the Germans' advance to actually go in to Russia and try to take territory back. They just wanted to secure their own country and not be bothered. Russia had, of course, other ideas about it. But to see, our main objective is Leningrad. So if we can get these guys to push in, do more fighting, cause the Russians to have to reinforce this area, could make our trip up to Leningrad a little bit easier in the long run. So what if Finland? Let's take a look at what we have here. So we give them a full military alliance. It's going to cost us, again, no victory points. We're going to get a 100% chance that Finland will now cross the historical boundaries and head into Russia. But of course, we're going to lose 10 victory points. It's going to cost us some of our victory points to get this option. And then mutual assistance agreement, double chance of Finland crossing historical boundaries. So double the normal. Let's see if there's actually, tells us a percentage chance of this happening, and it might just do that somewhere. I'm probably just missing it. So we're basically gambling our victory points against what kind of option, how Finland can do in attacking Russia is basically what we're doing there. It doesn't really give a total on that, but you know what? We're going to give them a full military allowance, 100% chance that they will cross the border into Russia and see if they can cause all kinds of problems. The more problems they cause for us, the better it'll be. We are going to lose some victory points, but that's okay. And there we go. Boom. The Finnish government has signed a binding military alliance. There we go. So we lost 10 victory points, but now they will cross the border. And now we've got all of our decisions made. We've completed all of our pre-game setup, and we can go ahead and take a look at the game. So, you know, this whole web of this underlying RPG element of, you know, one time you play the game, you can choose Finland as a military alliance. The next time you can choose not to, and it's going to totally change the outcome of the game. Same thing with Romania down here. Same thing with your relationship with your other generals. And we're going to show you that now because I think we've completed all of our pregame setup. Of course, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to do that within, just a few minutes and be ready to play. But let's go ahead and do we want to end our turn? Yep, we're going to end our turn. We're just going to end our turn. The Soviet Unions are going to make a couple decisions on their side, and then they are going to pass it off, and it's going to switch back to turn number 1. And here we go. So after the first shark, the army has turned to fight. There have been instances of tactical withdrawals and no doubt another disorderly retreat. But there are no indications of an attempted operational disengagement. This is actually from our diary in June 22nd, 1941. So this is us. This is not just yourself sitting at your keyboard. You have to think of yourself as Field Marshal Franz Haller. All right, Hitler Directive number 21. The Fuhrer, and it's going to kind of go through what we just talked about here. After listening to all advice, is issued a directive and expectations for all commanders to adhere to the following strategy. And there will be no more discussion. So Leningrad in the north, destroy the army headquarters, Rostov in the south, and Moscow in the center. Of course, then we have our Army Group North, Army Group Center, Army Group South. You will see now we have command focus cards that we're going to be able to play for Army Group North. We have theater artillery. Our siege artillery is seen idle in Warsaw. We can assign that to, you need to assign a theater artillery support cards. Luftwaffe. Luftwaffe is currently fully occupying, they're basically doing air superiority and they're not supporting our attacks. So we can change that as well. And 1st Division failed to deploy, 4th Division is pending deployment, 6 decisions outstanding and need our attention. Alright, not only that, but we have another thing that has come with a new update. If you got the most recent patch, we actually have a diary from one of the war veterans here from the war. This is fictional, of course, this is not realistic, it's just kind of another role-playing element. And we're going to get an update on this gentleman's handling of the situation and what he sees and what he experiences throughout the war. Of course, if he dies or is seriously wounded, his diary will cease to exist. So as long as we keep him alive and in good shape, he will update his diary. So just another element to the an RPG element that they add, some more flavor to the game. Again, I think the designers did a great job of not just saying, okay, let's just create another hex-based war game where you push a bunch of counters around and you got to spend hundreds of hours trying to understand the system and thousands of hours playing it just to play through one turn. I think the designers did a great job of adding some uniqueness and some flavor and just, kind of a whole nother atmosphere that you have to deal with other than just playing counters and moving counters around. So that was fun. I actually like that introductory there. Alright, so we're not going to actually get into actually attacking and doing all that. Obviously that's going to be determined on your own behalf. That's kind of just the core mechanics. But what I do want to touch on is just a couple things to make it a little bit easier for you guys if you are, like myself, not a commander, not an operational commander. If you play some war games more smaller in scale and scope, a lot of this stuff can be a little confusing and stuff. So number one thing I would obviously do is come down here and I would click on this little tick there, and if you click through them, you can get rid of the NATO counters. I am not a big NATO counter guy because I don't usually play these kinds of games. I like to see like a little graphic representation, of what's going on, and it makes it so much easier for me. I can go, okay, these are guys, these are guys. My guys are shooting your guys. Makes sense. Oh, hey, this is a tank. These are guys. Okay, I'm using my tanks on your guys. Instead of trying to figure out with the NATO symbols. Now, I know what the symbols mean. I know what they represent and stuff, but I don't have, when you got a lot going on your screen, a lot of this stuff you can just kind of gloss over and just go, oh, here's a panzer group, because you're not really thinking about it. This is kind of second nature, and you mistakenly thought that this is a panzer group. But I just find it a little bit easier for myself. You can have that option. I think that's a great option to have. The second thing I would do is turn the option on, so when you select the headquarters, so the units with the flags are headquarter units, and then you have your infantry, which are going to be units that look like guys with guns, and of course your panzer units are going to have the tank symbols there. If you're not sure about them, you can always click on them and find out what we have here. So we actually have some Panzer 3s, some Panzer 2s, some Panzer 4s, 50mm AT guns, looks like a German half-track, obviously some heavy infantry, and basically what you want to keep in mind is left side is your attack bonus, right side is your defensive bonus. So if you're getting attacked, you use your blue. Red is your attack value. Of course, the first couple turns, the Germans get a huge bonus because it's a prize. And there's a lot more that you can learn by just going through all these tutorials. This isn't a tutorial video. I'm not trying to teach you the game. I'm just trying to give you some basic overview of some concepts of the game. Alright, so to kind of finish up the German side, we're going to look at the one of the most important tabs you're going to be dealing with this RPG element, and that of course is our relationship tab. We have relationships with all of these other people, and you can see we have the Führer, we have von Brandstein, we have Göring, he's in charge of the Luftwaffe, von Lieb, which is Army Q headquarters. We have von Brock, Army Q headquarters. Von Rundstein, which is of course Army Q Army headquarters. We have General Gehrig, which is in charge of the trains, obviously very important, and General Wagner, which is of course in charge of the trucks. So all of these are going to play vital roles in how they feel about you, how well that mechanic works for you. So obviously Adolf Hitler right now is neutral. We haven't done much for him right now. We have supported him. We have basically told him whatever his whim is, we will do it. You can see we have a poor relationship with the Supreme Headquarter General there, von Baschenstich. We have distrustful relationship with Göring, which is obviously not going to be good. And of course, von Lieb is neutral. Army Group, of course, he's Army Group North, so he's neutral. This is the guy we have to try to get us to like us the best, because we're going to be trying to focus in on the North. Army Group Central is, we got him up to good just because of our building of the railroads that are helping him out. Neutral for the South, he's not very happy with us. He won't be happy with us. The trains is good, and of course the trucks are neutral. So you want to keep your relationships, and every decision you make might make one guy a little more happy and another guy a little more sad. Each one of these has a little tool tip that will tell you all of the different bonuses and penalties you're getting with that person. And of course, now that we actually started the game, before we even start moving counters around, we could choose a whole bunch of more decisions to make. We don't have to, because as I mentioned throughout this video series, this game has this extra layer, but you can choose to basically ignore it. If I wanted to, I can just get on and just start attacking things and let my subordinates decide these decisions. But you can see there are some very important decisions here about the Russian oil. Theater allocations. Which side is going to get the most fuel? Fuel right now we're only getting 20% up in Army Group North. Central is getting 53%, and Army Group South is going to get 27%. We can adjust this. We can give more fuel to Army Group North. What's that going to do, though? Well, our Army Group North guy is going to start to like us, and the guys who's getting less fuel is not going to like us as much. So there's balancing. Is it worth this? Right now we have a good relationship with Army Group South, so is it worth taking fuel from him and making him go from good down to neutral? We have the air offensive. What are we going to do with our airplanes? Goring here, he wants a certain thing to do with his air force. We can tell him, no, we need you to help support our attacks. Or we can cancel the air offensives and just don't do them anymore. We can say, maintain your offensives for 4 more days, maintain offensives for 8 more days, or maintain offensive for 12 more days. So depending on what we want to do, what we want to have him happen, he can continue his air offensives, which is basically his idea is to shoot down all the Russian airplanes and get air superiority. And of course, what we would like is we would like him to support our attacks so that we're dropping bombs and doing it more damage to the enemy so we can break through faster and do all that. So of course our relationship right now, he distrusts us. He doesn't feel we are a very good general. So that's kind of an overview of the game concepts and design and functionality of Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa for the German side. What we're going to do is kind of take a look at the Soviet side in the next video and kind of look at their philosophies, what you had to deal with, the situations, and the drive behind being the commander-in-chief of the Soviets, Mr. Joseph Stalin. So as the Germans, we are just a field commander, but as the Russians, we are the supreme commander in Joseph Stalin, and that changes everything. That changes how you play, and that changes pretty much all of the decisions that you need to make because you have complete control over the decisions you make. So we'll look at the Russians on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this is Idjester signing off.